Okay, so my name is Luna Bawa. I am from Kaduna State. Obviously, I'm a Nigerian. I'm from a family of 6 surviving kids. Um, my father used to be in the military, now late. So we moved around a little bit. Went to Air Force Primary School, and I have a background in applied computing actually. Um, and I have built a career first as a software engineer. And then at some point, you get to a crossroad where you start thinking about what you want to do with your life, in the long term. And the idea of entrepreneurship comes in. And as a software engineer, you start thinking about how to build softwares that you can sell. So that is how I found myself in this field. Yeah, I have actually tried my hands in, a couple of businesses, as well as working with a few friends in their own startup as an entrepreneur before I found myself, building a farmer. So that is, in a nutshell, everything about me.
Every time.
So the idea is that we build a green banking platform. So this is inspired by a couple of factors. One, sometime in 2018, 2017, I tried to cultivate something remotely, and I tried to buy inputs and pay for services remotely, and this was impossible. So instantly, I realized that there was a big gap in terms of digitization. But even before then, I'd worked on a World Bank funded project that is agriculture related. Of course, you keep seeing that the agricultural sector is completely naked, no infrastructure. And we are really at the digitization phase. So I took it upon myself to build, out of this problem, to digitize the value chain or the sector. It looked very simple initially, from conception, it looks simple, but by the time you get to the field, the reality changes automatically. So we partner with a couple of companies to digitize a few farmers. One of those companies is Wakot Rice Limited in Kebbi State, where we've worked with about 5,000 smallholder farmers. But even at the point of digitization, you keep realizing that there are actually points across the value chain that are leaking in value. And then there is a need to actually capture those value or those value points. And it boils down back again, cycles back to the same thing, a lack of access financial products and services. So the concept of a green banking platform came up, where we believe that farmers can easily have access to the financial sector of financial products and services if their commodities, their harvested products, can easily be registered on a platform as some kind of, currency. So they come to our collection centers, they make deposit of their harvest, and then they have access to a wallet system that keeps a balance of both their bank account and then their green wallet. So the concept of circular economy, where you bring shared storage to farm, and because it doesn't make sense actually where you invest so much in primary production to save value, losses in value, and then at the end of the farming cycle, post production, there is nothing in place, no infrastructure, no storage for farmers to be able to keep their commodities. And I give you an example. The harvest for soybean started a couple of months back, and a lot of farmers, especially in Benue State, where Benue State is the #1 state called soybeans, a lot of them are going to be disposing of these commodities. Why? Because of the festive season. And then the festive season happens to be again an off-peak period in the commodities trading market. So that means you have a lot of farmers who will be selling, and then you have the commodities market in its off-peak period or window. So prices are going to be at their lowest, losses of value here. And then just a week or 2 weeks after the festive period into the first week of January, a lot of them cannot even meet their basic financial needs. What we're saying is that farmers don't have to sell. Farmers can deposit their grains and then they can borrow against it. So it gives them access to financial products. It gives them access to credit lending products, anticipating that in the next 1 month or 2 months, these commodities are going to go high in prices, and then they can sell at that, or perhaps even use their wallet as, their commodity, their grain balance as a payment instrument, paying for goods and services, withdrawing from POS or an ATM machine. So that's the entire concept behind EveryFarmer, our grain banking platform.
Every day, every night.
Yeah, so the concept is this. We set up this infrastructure, apart from building the technology, which we have built, the software. The supporting infrastructure is these warehouses, So along the corridors of the farming communities where we're actually working with farmers, we're also going to be setting up houses where farmers can easily deposit their grains, Of course, one of the issues that you're going to face getting farmers to come and deposit is the issue around trust. I mean, Nigeria is a very low trust society, so you would have to overcome that. So for us, products like input financing is a trust building mechanism. So if I can trust you with inputs, I can finance easy for you to deposit, your grains in my warehouse.
People talk about injustice.
Yes. Now, the thing again is this: agriculture is capital intensive. So, as a startup, we don't have that kind of financial muscle. So, what we did, the smartest way around it was for us to look for early believers and also seek out collaborators. One of those key collaborators that we're working with currently is Wakot Rice Limited in KB State. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the name Wakot. They are a member of the TGI group. And what we did with Wakot was they came in with their resources. Definitely, they provided the input financing. We provided the credit score system, the onboarding process for the farmers and their farms, which is, the basic or critical Agric stack data needed for credit scoring. And beyond that, we collected both farming and non-farming data. And we have run a whole farming cycle, one whole season successfully with them. We've also achieved over 98% recovery rate in, the input financing that was provided to farmers, thanks to the credit score system. And beyond that, we also set up the grain collection center with them, with Wakot, where farmers deposit their grains and can cash out at the prevailing market rate anytime. And what we're looking at doing now is to expand from that record or the result of that pilot project to other states. So we have set up partnership with First City Monument Bank, who are also coming in to provide input financing for our farming communities in the north east part of Nigeria. So we're looking at Bauchi, Taraba, and Adama, and then gradually we would move. We're also looking at Edo State also. So hopefully by next month, right now we're already carrying out the onboarding process in the field. So we hope that by next month would, actually start input distribution to our farmers.
Injustice that breeds suffering in the world.
Yes, so the concerns that stakeholders are having is relatively same, which is the lack of data, critical data set, the lack of visibility in terms of seeing the associated risk in the sector, which initially before now, they couldn't see these things. I mean, the cost of loan origination and maintenance and recovery is quite high. So for financial institutions like banks, the issue with this is that they they run a branch banking, so it's quite difficult for them to go deep into these farming communities and deal with farmers. They don't have that capacity. So with people like us, or businesses or agri-tech startups like us, we are able to capture all of the value points for them so they can sit down and see all of this data set, from start to finish, and track every linked activity to every farmer or every farm directly to the farm. So we've integrated a lot of technologies to aid with, our product and service offering. One of those technologies, for example, is the Earth observing satellites, which helps us to carry out yield index analysis or projection, of these farms across board. So there's a lot of visibility now. There's a lot of data transparency, and they're actually warming up to the fact that they don't have to be the ones to go to the field to carry out all of these tasks.
People complaining about love.
No, we're not. Certainly, there are other companies or other startups that are in this space. Perhaps might not have started the way we started, but eventually everybody gets to understand. Once you're in the space as a tech company, you get to understand that these are the critical areas you should look at. So the likes of Affex are also providing input financing. They are also providing shared storage facilities for farmers to store their grains. They do warehouse receipt financing, which is similar to what we're doing with the grain banking. The only difference is that we're tying the inventory system to a wallet system, while on their own case, the warehouse receipt is being traded on the exchange floor, which is a bit different. But I mean, literally at the end of the day, we're all achieving the same goal. There's the likes of Thrive Agric, who are also in the space. There's is it Zoacell also? So there's quite a number of companies or tech startups, agri-tech companies that are also providing similar solutions for farmers. The one of the key challenges that we're facing is, let me even start from the point of the regulator now. Since we're dealing with the informal sector, there's a policy framework that says that you can onboard farmers or people in the informal sector with certain account types. They call it tier 1 and tier 2 account types. Now, those accounts have limited amounts that can be transacted on them. For the tier 1, I think it's about 60 or 50,000 naira. Now, if you look at the economic production, that is the cost of cultivating 1 hectare. In fact, the cost of cultivating half a hectare of farmland, you're going to spend more than that. You're going to spend over 100 and something thousand naira. I mean, with the current inflation rate and all of that. So that account type does not even fit. I mean, and I keep telling people, I say, well, we look at farmers as poor and all of that. Yeah, there are reasons why they are poor. I mean, they cultivate once in a year. What they make from that cycle is not enough to keep them through to the next cycle. So obviously, they are going to fall back into that loop of poverty. But in places like KB State, farmers can actually cultivate 3 times in a year. There are places where farmers can cultivate 4 times in a year. And we have farming communities or groups that we call water users, So the EOP is quite expensive itself. So if you're expecting us to onboard farmers who perhaps don't have any means of identity, no NIN, because with the tier 2 account, you need NIN. So if I'm meeting farmers who don't have NIN, the only account type I can onboard them into is the tier 1 account type. Because directly from our platform, we've integrated with FCMB, so that allows us to directly generate account numbers for the farmers from our platform from the moment that we onboard them. That's a key challenge for us. And that's one of the challenges that we've been dealing with. We've been having back and forth meetings with FCMB to see how, we can cross over or, scale through these challenges. Now, on the tier 2 account, there's also a problem with NIN that, sometimes the servers are down. So validating and verifying NIN numbers becomes challenging. And that also, puts us a step back in carrying out some of these tasks and activity when we need to. That is on the technical side. On the infrastructure side, again, issues around insecurity, bad roads, and all of that, access to some of these farming communities. KB right now is mostly out of it's a difficult terrain for me to reach. Why? Because usually I would leave Abuja in the morning, and by evening I'm already in KB, or at tops I sleep in Sokoto and find my way to KB the next morning. But right now, the risk around traveling from Abuja to Kaduna itself is something. I mean, it's better now, but from Kaduna down to KB, crossing through Katsina and Zamfara, it's a problem. Security issues are core. So even if you have to uptake from farmers, let's say I don't have an off-taker in KB State, and I have to bring the commodity down to places like Kaduna or Kanu, it's a problem to transport. The cost of transportation itself is another thing. And then the lack of trucks or truckers, it's another thing. So we struggle with these challenges every now and then. In fact, I think I see a lot of opportunity in the mobility space, especially for maybe enterprises who are considering coming into the agricultural space, but from a different angle. Like we're playing in the financial tech space, but purely for the agricultural sector. So we'd love to see people come into similar spaces, play in the storage space, play in the transport space, and let us just integrate, and work together with each other. So these are key challenges that we're facing, and then people like us should have access to financing, this financing product that we have the government, put in place to stimulate the agricultural sector, like the Anchor Brass loan. But I can access it. Why? I'm a startup. The banks, the regulation or the requirement says that you should provide collateral. Now, I manage that collateral, and then I go to my participating financial institution, and then now they ask me to bring annual return that can provide me access to the amount of money I'm applying for, despite the fact that I have provided collateral. So those are some of the challenges that we're facing that we need the government to really step in, and help make this thing easy for us. We're the serious ones. We're the ones who are actually in the trenches trying to do this. But a lot of the people who benefited from the Anchor Browse loan are not even farmers in the first place. They are not commercial farmers. They are not big-time farmers. They are not outgrowers. They collect this money, use it for other businesses and all that. So these are the challenges that we're really facing.
No job, no food, no.
Okay, so another issue is around so now if you look at the EOP, you have products, you have services. Products in terms of inputs, fertilizer, chemical, and seeds. Services in terms of fertilizer application, chemical application, and all of that, labor, and all of that. Now, for us to be able to tackle some of the losses in primary production, where key factors of production are concerned, like chemical, fertilizer, and seeds, you would need to, apart from providing this product to the farmers, you need to automate the application of this services or this products. For example, in rice farming, we do the hand broadcast. The variable rate application for that method is inefficient. And then we also use NAFSAC. the rate of application of utilization of chemicals in those farms is as low as 15% to 20%. So it means you're wasting over 80% or 70% of chemical and water. We're saying that with technology, you can actually achieve over 70 to 80% utilization rate. Even for the issues around fertilizer application, using technology, you can actually achieve very good variable rate. That means in areas where you need more fertilizer, technology can actually precisely dictate those areas, find out those areas, and you apply more. Where you need less, you apply less. So you have good utilization of these variables in the farm. Now, for me to be able to automate this kind of processes, I will need to bring in something like a drone, an agricultural drone, and make it accessible to farmers, at the same cost rates that they are currently paying for these services in the farm. Now, for me to bring that in, I need to pay over 50 million naira in license to the government. I need character report from DSS. I need license from FAN. I also need NIA clearance. Else, if I import an agricultural drone, they are going to impound it. And these drones would cost close to, with the payload accessories that you're going to buy, it will come close to over 10 million naira. So we're not helping ourselves move from the state that we are to the digitized or digitization state that we need to be, or that we're trying to say that that's where we're trying to get to, when our actions are actually limiting us from doing that. The central bank should have reviewed the amount on the tier 1 account upward, at least minimum, to the cost of the EOP. That would be a very good point to start from. So these are some of the issues. And then insecurity, we have to deal with it. Farmers can't really, in some places, farmers can't go to farm, so that's a problem. And then you see, if we are serious about these things, I think we would have been far ahead compared to where we are right now. So these are some of the issues that we need the government to really look into and address. Growth potential says that you're always going to sell between 80 to 100% of whatever you cultivate. That is fact. Why? Nigeria is the largest grain and oilseed market in the world. In Africa, sorry. In Africa, we hold over 12.5% of the market in Africa. Next to us is, I think, Ethiopia and Egypt, and the three of these countries take up over 37% of the total market. So that's a huge market, And despite the fact that we play a leading role in the grain and oilseed market, you still realize that we're one of the largest importer of food, commodities, and on the continent. Our food import bill went as far as $40 to $45 billion just last year. So there is an enormous potential in the market. Rice is a hot cake right now. As we're speaking, people are importing rice from Benin Republic. Rice paddy, from neighboring countries, Cameroon and the rest of them. So there is a market for these things. You don't even have to sweat it to sell it. That's the truth. So we just need to double up on what we're doing. And for us in EveryFarmer, we believe that with our approach to farming, to giving a sense of belonging to our farmers, we believe that we'll be able to grow about 10x our current growth rate. We have over 2 financial partners that are coming on board to work with us. From the current about 3,500 farmers that we provided input financing for, out of the 5,000 that we onboarded, we were targeting 15,000 farmers. We already have 10,000 on our waiting list as I'm speaking. So, and every day it is calls and calls from cooperatives, farming cooperatives and groups across the country. and there's little we can do because of the resources that we have. And we need partners to be able to work with. Our platform allows us to integrate across board. So whether it's with the financial sector, banks, or insurance companies, or transport and logistics companies, we are the center point for data for the sector. And that's what we're building. We're building a platform where, eventually you can see who is a farmer, where is his farm, and where he's residing in the country. You can directly pinpoint that. You can look at the person's production calendar. You can see all of his activities in terms of what he has produced over the last couple of years, the money he has made, how much he has sold them, all of this. And then this set of data are very, very critical, because now our farmers will now be able to actually benefit like every other citizen in the financial market, have access to financial products and services like everyone else. Who says that a farmer cannot pay for insurance, health insurance, or even pay for mortgage or even pension? Who says that they can't? But it depends on how we approach these things. We make them productive, they earn good living income, and then they can now pay for products and services across the vertical.
Great.
As tough as it is, to be honest, Shagun, I won't tell you that there are no nights or days where I wake up and I ask myself, am I really caught up, for this? Sometimes I want to give up, but the truth is, I enjoy it. As hard as it is, I derive pleasure doing this. I derive fulfillment doing this. The fact that I can see areas where there are problems or issues, and I know that with a little bit of hard work and commitment, we can actually fix those problems and convert those pain points to value points. It's just what keeps me going, really. Nothing else. I wouldn't say I am making anything from this. At the moment, I am not. I'm committing more than I'm actually making, but we play the long-term game, not the short-term game. So we're here, for the long run.
For freedom and justice.
My role model? Oh, I grew up as a kid. I've been fascinated at Bill Gates. I think he's one of the inspirations behind why I got into technology. But yeah, I've seen him done amazing things. And I want to believe that for our continent, we can also do amazing things for our people, change the lives of our people, change the trajectory of our continent, and then maybe, who knows, make money in the course of doing that. So. Yes. Even at the rate at which Nigerians are running out of the country, I think we're still not running. We still don't have enough people running out of the country compared to other, even African countries. I think Egypt, Morocco, and the rest of them even have more people, more migrants running out of their country than we do. The only thing is, I would love to see more people leave. At a point in time, Japan was literally sending their citizens out of the country to go learn and come back and reverse engineer some of the technologies that they are now leaders, in those fields. So there's nothing wrong with migration. Nigerians would always migrate. People would always move around. But for us who are here, we're also going to tap from the experiences of our migrants, from whatever they have gone to acquire and learn. I have one of my key management team member that we started this company with. He's now in Germany, working in Germany, but he's still working with us from Germany. And I can tell you that, yes, I'm seeing the difference, the improvement in what he's now doing with us, because he has learned a lot. He has been exposed to, other methodologies and all of that. Not just him. We have about 3 of them that are in outside of the country and still working with us. So the diasporans are going to be a major stakeholder in our development. They are going to be major stakeholders in what we're doing to move this country forward. All of us cannot be there. Some of us will have to be here. You know how it is, Shegun. You cannot call a minister or a director from the US or somewhere else and have access. Sometimes they prefer to sit with you in places where nobody would know you're there to sit with them. So sometimes we need to be here to lobby while they are there to also contribute to what we're doing. So I support Nigerians actually traveling if it is for the cause, for a good cause, actually. Something that in the long run is going to benefit the country, the person's family and lineage, pull people out of poverty, which is very critical. Technology has been helping to pull a lot of people out of poverty. I've seen people, one of our engineers that learned to code, from a very poor background, pull his entire family out of poverty. He's now in Canada. So yes, we want to see things like that happening. Play the long-term game. Be persistent. You do things abruptly, you will never get results. You jump from one idea to another idea, you will never get results. These things takes time to cook, so they should learn. As an entrepreneur, you're always learning, you're always reading, you're always researching. So young entrepreneurs should learn to imbibe that habit, and they should also understand that it's going to be perhaps a lonely road to travel on, a very lonely one and a very boring one. So it takes commitment, it takes persistence, it takes shared vision, and aggressiveness to actually achieve results or get results. So that's my advice to them, really.
Okay.
And at every opportunity, they should learn. Okay, I think that the summit should look at, critical issues that affect startups. It should be a place where startups, founders, and players in the space should meet. Every stakeholder, from ecosystem developers or builders, like people from all of the incubators, incubation hubs, or accelerators, should all be part of it. As much as possible, local investors, if possible, foreign investors. But I think our local investors need to take a front seat, a front burner in this space. And then, a one-on-one session for people to meet and interact, an opportunity to book for private meetings. Yes, and if possible, maybe a little bit of learning by the side where key subject matters should be discussed, and give opportunities to especially the young startups to learn some of the mistakes that we made starting up, early. If we had opportunities to learn from people where some mistakes that startups actually make, things around your cap table, for example. Maybe you're eager, you want an investor, someone who said he wants to invest 10, 15 million. Perhaps you've spent the last 6 months looking for an investor, an angel investor, you didn't get, and someone came with 50 million, 20 million, and you hop on it, and then he takes over 30 to 40% shares in your company. That's going to haunt you in the future, but you won't know at that stage, So people need to learn, especially those just coming into the space, need to learn about these things, and learn the art of negotiations, understand, if it's a tech startup, for example, understand how the valuation methods are done, at every stage. A lot of things for young entrepreneurs to learn, and I think it's quite lacking in the space. Some of us had to learn the hard way, but it doesn't have to be like that. We should be able to groom young entrepreneurs and guide them properly. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a good start. I have gone through it, and it's sort of, I'm also very, very happy that the people who sat and came up with that draft are people who are actually players in the space. lots of industry players. So the government just enabled the development of the bill, but actually industry players are the ones who play the critical role coming up with the bill. So just looking at the personalities behind the people alone tells you that yes, it might not be as ambitious as perhaps the one in Kenya or Tunisia, but it's a very, very good start in the sense that it takes into account the need for us to invest a lot in developing the ecosystem. So builds parks across the country where young entrepreneurs can go either learn or get their ideas incubated and all of that. I also hope that our university system is also going to key into the startup bill, where our university systems or university environment would become incubator hubs themselves, incubating ideas and helping young entrepreneurs build up. And perhaps our curriculum, tech-wise or engineering-wise, would also tilt a little bit towards, training or building courses for some of the needs of the ecosystem, So we have needs for product developers or product engineers or product managers. We have a lot of needs around financial experts, which is different from having an accountant, but, someone who can help you simulate through your business model and come up with, financial projections and all of that. We need people within those spaces. They are different from accountants. We need quite a lot. Engineers, for example, even the so-called software engineers, there's still a lack. For example, I use a tech stack that is highly avoidable by a lot of engineers. For example, Java is the core behind our technology, and Java engineers are scarce. They are very expensive. So in our company, we have an internship program where we carry engineers from other other software languages and convert them to Java engineers. It takes us about over 18 months to be able to do that. And by the time you're done training engineers, a company from Lagos out of nowhere will come and push them. So we need the university system to come up and help us build these talents, because they're really going to help drive. These are part of the people who make up. It's not the CEO or the person who comes up with the idea. It's the people who are working behind the scene, interpreting all of these ideas that really, really, really matter. So we need these things to be put in place. So I believe that Nigeria is on the right track and on the right path. I also believe that, yes, we're number one on the continent. If you look at the number of startups coming out of Nigeria, for example, and if you look at the number of, what do you call them, unicorns that we have, but I still believe that we've not achieved 10% of what we are capable of achieving, as giants on the continent and as leaders in this space. Easily the likes of South Africa and Kenya can catch up and overtake us. I mean, they've been doing a lot in that effort, if you look at what is happening. But we need to do more. And I believe that Nigeria, in the next couple of years, if we keep on with this momentum and looking at the Startup Act, which again is going to help us deal with some of the issues that I've raised, because it talks about an office, a central office that is going to coordinate issues or relationship between startups and government agencies and all of that. So that office would help them understand or think or see things from where we are coming from and standing. So I want to believe, I'm only praying for a speedy execution of that bill, of the law. But I believe that Nigeria is going to be, but it's going to be much more the startup capital of the continent.
What a life, what a world, what a country, what about me? Every time, every day, people talking about injustice.